Okay, so this is gonna sound ridiculous, but I think one of the best and most spiritual places I've ever worked was a Circle K, like an actual gas station. Not a metaphorical gas station, not a cute indie movie gas station where a sad man learns about life from a troubled teenager who smokes too many cigarettes. I mean fluorescent lights, lottery tickets, cheap alcohol, people buying one banana and a Red Bull, someone asking if the bathroom works, someone getting mad because the bathroom does work, but the vibes are wrong, hot dogs spinning under a heat lamp, looking like they've been thinking about death since 9 a.m. That kind of gas station. And the weird thing is, it was my first real job. I think I was 28 or maybe 27. Which is a little embarrassing to say, but also I don't think it should be embarrassing. It's just true. Before that, I had been really fortunate. I had only ever been a professional athlete, or owned my own businesses, or had family support. I had lived a few different lives already, some of them honestly way more impressive on paper than standing behind a gas station counter. But I had never really done the regular thing, especially the regular American thing. Clock in, wear the shirt, have a manager, stand there for hours, and of course get yelled at by someone who's very upset about Marlboro Reds. So at 27, almost 28, I got my first real job at a gas station. And there was a specific kind of shame attached to it that I don't think I was fully ready for because I'm a brown guy. And being a brown guy working at a gas station in America comes with this whole preloaded story in people's heads. You can feel it. Some people look at you and they already think they know your immigration story, your family story, your education level, your whole life. They don't know anything. But they have the confidence of someone who has known you your whole life. Then add the tattoos. I have a lot of tattoos. Full sleeves, my chest, stomach. Too many tattoos depending on who you ask. And apparently some of them look like prison ink, which I did not know was going to become a part of my customer service journey. So people would come in and look at me like they were doing math. Brown guy, gas station, tattoo sleeves. Is he a crackhead? Is he dangerous? Is he the owner's nephew? Did he just get out? Does he know where the bathroom key is? Usually the answer was just, I'm sorry, we don't have a public bathroom. But I could feel the stigma. I could feel some people thinking, oh, this guy is 28. And working at a gas station. Something must have gone wrong. And honestly, some of my family members thought that too, out loud. And maybe something had gone wrong. I don't know. A lot of things. A lot of things had gone wrong. A lot of things had gone right too. But I think the stranger part is that I didn't feel like I had failed. It felt like I had finally entered real life. And obviously that sounds very dramatic, but I do mean it. The gas station was like a living thing in a way that a lot of respectable places aren't really alive. People came in with their whole lives hanging off them. Teachers after work looking like the school system had personally drained the soul out of their body. Chefs after closing smelling like smoke and grease and actual hard work. Chefs are crazy, by the way, but we can talk about that another time. Artists, singers, bartenders, musicians, cops, a lot of cops, homeless people, people from the apartment complex behind us, people going to work, people coming back from doing something they probably shouldn't have done, people buying lottery tickets with a level of hope that was, I'd say, borderline religious. People buying liquor like it was literally essential medicine. People buying coffee like it was the only thing standing between them and a felony. And very early on, maybe the first week, people started hanging out with me. That's the part that's still funny to me. And my mom, who came and visited me at the gas station and also noticed this. Because, I mean, who hangs out with someone at their gas station shift? Apparently, a lot of people, especially in Tempe, Arizona. People would come visit me. Some would stay for hours. Some people would basically stay my whole shift. They'd just be there, talking, joking, watching the chaos, keeping me company. And I think that probably transformed the job into something else. It wasn't just a job anymore. It was a place. Well, I guess it was a place before it was a job, but it became this weird little social hub. I was also DJing locally at the time and making music. I was trying to be part of the city and not just like exist in it. And somehow the gas station became one of my launching points, which to me is insane. Imagine trying to build a music career from behind a Circle K counter. But that's kind of what happened. I would play my own music in the store sometimes, not in a cool way either, in a very shameless, slightly sad, slightly beautiful way. Someone would come in for a Gatorade and suddenly they're being exposed to my artistic journey without consent. Sometimes they'd ask, who is this? And I'd be like, unfortunately, me. And sometimes, most of the time, they actually liked it. Some people streamed it. So I guess I was making a tiny income from gas station streams. To me, that's one of those things that's both humiliating and beautiful, which is basically the category most of my life falls into. The gas station was right next to Yucca Tap Room too, which if you've been to Tempe, you know about, which made everything stranger. If you know Yucca Tap Room, you know the kind of energy I'm talking about. In dive bar energy, metal show energy, people smoking outside, people getting in fights, people who look like they might be in a band or a motorcycle club or both. The kind of place where the music is great and the decisions are always questionable. There were super good metal shows. There were weird nights. There were a lot of fights. There were drunk people wandering in after shows, sweaty and loud and happy and angry and hungry, sometimes all at once. The gas station caught all the runoff from that world. It was like the city was leaking into our little fluorescent box. Musicians would come in, bartenders would come in, cooks would come in, people going to the show, people leaving the show, people whose night had just started, people whose night had clearly gone very wrong. And I was just there behind the counter with my stupid tattoos and my music playing, selling cigarettes and alcohol. Honestly, I felt like some kind of gatekeeper to hell. Then there were the workers. That part really changed my life. There were people there in their 70s who had been working at Circle K for decades. Like 30 years. And I don't mean that in a condescending way at all. You meet people like that and you realize they've figured it out. They know more than you. They know how to live. They know customers. They know danger. They know when someone is just weird or is about to become a problem. They know which guy is harmless if you let him talk for 2 minutes. They know who's gonna steal beer. They know how to survive a shift when you're in pain. They just knew how to keep moving, and that's something I was struggling with at the time. And I think real wisdom doesn't look like the kind of stuff we post online. Sometimes Wisdom is a 72-year-old Circle K worker saying, "Don't let that guy use the bathroom." And you should listen. I made some of the most amazing, wonderful friends I've ever met in my life while I was working there. Especially my coworkers. Some of them were younger, some of them were much older, as I said, but I can't think of a better way to describe it than trauma bonding. Like the hardship of working there and the long shifts and the lack of breaks and being robbed all the time, it bonded us in a way that I feel like just like when you go to summer camp or something, you get closer to people much faster, or people you meet on a trip. So this was like that, but it was a trip that lasted like 40 to 70 hours a week, depending on how much the manager was trying to torture you. The regulars had their own world too, and I loved being a part of it. Gas station regulars are a type of community people don't talk about enough. Everybody had their thing, and if you remembered their thing, it was so special to them. Some people had a specific cigarette brand. Shout out Camel Crush Blue Lady. Some people had a specific drink. Some people wanted their coffee from one specific machine, not the other machine, because apparently the other machine had once betrayed them in 2016, and they're never gonna trust it again. There were coffee people who treated the coffee station like a sacred site. They wanted the right roast, the right cup, the right amount of creamer, the right lid. It was so confusing. Some wanted half French vanilla, half regular. Some wanted dark roast, but only if it had just been put in the coffee machine. Some would come in, and if their coffee was out, their whole face would change. Like I had personally blocked them from receiving divine mercy. One guy was a mailman. He came in and he kicked the machine over. He was so mad. But that same guy would also come in and help us change the creamers. If his creamer wasn't in, he would like help me get it out of the fridge and put it in. And it was this really weird, complicated way of putting the creamer in. I wonder where that guy is. I hope he's good. That coffee was their ritual. That was the one little thing they got before a 10-hour shift, before going home to stress, before dealing with whatever their life was asking from them. When you look at it that way, coffee being out isn't just coffee being out. It's someone's tiny coping mechanism failing at 6:45 in the morning. And the soda refills. The soda fountain was its own ecosystem. People had these giant cups that looked like they'd survived multiple presidential administrations. Like honestly, ancient warrior cups that had seen things. People would come in for refills like it was a pilgrimage. Ice first, obviously, unless they were no ice people. And the no ice people are their own philosophical movement. And then they'd start mixing, not just Coke, no. A little Dr. Pepper, a little Coke, a little Sprite, maybe some lemonade, maybe some Powerade if they were feeling artistic, a splash of something blue for no clear reason. They would taste it, adjust it, top it off, sip it again, and you could see on their face whether they had achieved the perfect balance. People were doing alchemy at the soda fountain. Some of them would even top it with candy, like gummies. And the food, gas station food culture needs its own anthropology. I'm serious. If you've never spent real time in a gas station, you think people are buying chips. They're not just buying chips. They're building meals. They're surviving. They're innovating. They're doing desperate little cooking shows under fluorescent lights that I always loved being a part of. There were wrap snacks, obviously. Wrap snacks are not regular chips. A bag of wrap snacks has more personality than some people I've met. Like honestly, you've got to try them. Then there were the gas station meals. Ramen with cut up hot dogs. That was a thing. And I respect it. You get a cup of noodles, you cut up a hot dog, maybe add nacho cheese if you're either brave or spiritually damaged, maybe crushed Cheetos, maybe hot sauce. Suddenly you have a meal. Is it healthy? Absolutely not. Is it food? Technically, yes. Is it something a tired person invented because they had $4 and access to a microwave? I think so, and I think these recipes deserve respect. People would pour nacho cheese straight into a bag of chips, not onto chips, into the bag, and then shake it up like they were performing a magic spell. And honestly, sometimes it looked really good, and other times it looked like a crime scene with dairy. But sometimes it did look good. People did things with pork rinds too. I don't even fully understand all of it. Softening them, heating them, adding stuff, treating them like a base ingredient instead of a snack, like folk cuisine. Like someone's grandfather taught them something in a parking lot and the knowledge survived. That's what I'm saying, I guess. Every place has its own food culture, and some food culture ends in cookbooks, some on Netflix, and some lives in the gas station at 1 a.m. with a microwave that sounds and smells like it's dying. Oh, and the hot dog people. We need to talk about the hot dog people. Because gas station hot dog connoisseurs are a breed of their own. Honestly, sometimes when someone walks up to a hot dog roller, it's like they're choosing a wedding ring. They'll inspect it, check the color, check rotation. They'll ask when they were put on, which is a question that sometimes has a spiritually complicated answer. They know if the buns are good. They know if the chili is okay. They know if the cheese machine is acting right. And they know when a hot dog has crossed from ready into I've survived too long. And at first I thought it was funny, but eventually I started to respect it. Because for some people that hot dog was lunch. That hot dog was dinner. That hot dog was the thing that they could afford that day. And it might be the warmest thing they eat this week. So yeah, inspect the roller. Take your time, friend. Find the one that speaks to you. And then there were the kids. That part was different, especially as a father. Sometimes a family would come in and I could tell they were struggling. I didn't always know the story, but I could feel the math happening. Counting change, kids looking at donuts but not asking, someone trying to make a meal out of gas station ingredients. And I had a huge problem. I couldn't watch that and act like I didn't see it. So I gave people extra food. A lot. If a kid looked hungry, suddenly I was the Robin Hood of Circle K. If I was supposed to give 1 container of eggs, maybe 2 containers of eggs happened. If donuts were going out, maybe the amount of donuts became a little unreasonable. If there was food, especially sandwiches, that we were supposed to throw away, and they were still good, and someone outside was hungry, I gave it to them. I got in a lot of trouble for that. Of course I got in trouble for that. And I understand there are rules. I understand liability and policy and that businesses have their reasons. But also, come on. You're telling me the trash can has a stronger claim to donuts than a hungry kid or sandwiches than a hungry homeless person? I can't make that make sense. Maybe technically it was theft. Maybe technically it was against policy. Maybe technically the Circle K legal department would like me to shut up, but I'm sorry. If the choice is between a trash can eating and a person eating, I think I know who I'm feeding. Arrest me, Officer Donut. And I'm not saying that to make myself sound like a saint. I was not a saint. I was chaotic, tired, smoking too much cannabis at work sometimes, which was stupid. I can say that now. It was stupid. I was working too much. I was dealing with my own stuff badly, but I couldn't throw away food in front of hungry people. I still can't really understand how anybody makes peace with that. The homeless people around the store became part of my life too. Some of them were sweet, some of them were scary, some of them were both, depending on the day or if they had had their medication. That's just the honest truth. I think people want us to make everyone simple. They want a poor person to be a saint or a threat. They want the addict to be a victim or a problem. They want the homeless person to be noble or dangerous. From what I've seen, real life doesn't seem to work like that. People are complicated. Some people made me laugh. Some people worried me. Some people broke my heart. Some people I had to be careful with. And sometimes the same person was all of those things in the same week. The apartment complex behind the gas station, the Tides, had its own whole mythology. Let's just say there was a very brutal crime committed there. I think 5 years ago. If you know, you know. There was always something happening back there. The area felt like it was always one bad decision away from becoming a local news story, and sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, it did. The dumpster got set on fire by a homeless person once, which is the kind of thing that makes you stop and think, okay, this job has become a side quest. There were robberies. I got robbed 3 times. Like, twice at gunpoint, once with a knife, I think. Good times. We can talk about that more later. There were police situations. There was a street race situation where they hit one of the pumps. There were arrests. There were nights where the whole place felt like it had no adult supervision, including me. At one point, I had to inject someone overdosing with Narcan, and that definitely stayed with me. Because suddenly nobody is a character anymore. They're not a customer, a homeless person, some addict. They're just a person in front of you, and life starts happening very fast. And somehow you're a part of it. And you're at work, at a gas station. I think that's the part people don't understand about jobs like that. People look down on the work because the status is low, but the meaning isn't low. Sometimes the meaning is too much. Sometimes too much life happens in one shift. Sometimes a gas station contains more reality in one night than a nice office contains in a year. That's why I say it was a monastery. I don't mean it was peaceful. It wasn't peaceful at all. It was insane. But monasteries are not only about peace. They're about being stripped down, and the gas station stripped me down. It stripped away some of my ego, some of my class weirdness, some of my shame, some of my ideas about what makes a person respectable, some of my ideas about what kind of people are spiritual. Because toward the end of my time there, my meditation group had become large enough to where I finally started formally teaching. And that's where the story gets really funny to me, because people who used to buy liquor and lottery tickets from me eventually started coming to me to experience their souls and the astral plane. I don't think that's a normal career path. There definitely wasn't a brochure for that. No guidance counselor was like, have you considered the Circle K to astral projection pipeline? But that is what happened. Someone would know me as the gas station guy. Then later, I'm guiding them to breathe, close their eyes, feel their body, and maybe have one of the most meaningful inner experiences of their life. It's absurd, but I guess it is what it is. And honestly, I think the gas station is a big part of why I teach meditation the way I do. Because I don't think meditation belongs only to people with clean rooms and perfect yoga mats and glass water bottles and nervous systems that already look marketable. I I think meditation belongs to the guy buying scratchers. It belongs to the woman buying coffee before a brutal shift. It belongs to the bartender after close. It belongs to the cook whose feet hurt. It belongs to the teacher who is so tired she can barely make eye contact. And it belongs to the homeless person trying to make it through the night. I guess it also belongs to the brown guy behind the counter with too many tattoos, playing his own music, wondering why his life is so weird. And I guess those are the people who need peace, not just the people who already look peaceful. That's why I get annoyed by spirituality that feels too clean. Life isn't clean. Healing isn't clean. People aren't clean. Sometimes the path to stillness goes through a gas station next to a dive bar while the dumpster is on fire. I know that sounds like something only I would say, but I mean it. The gas station was a monastery, a very stupid monastery. A monastery with scratchers and vapes and those sad hot dogs turning forever. A monastery where metalheads came after shows, where chefs brought me food, where people in their 70s taught me how to survive without using the word survival. It was a monastery where people made ramen with hot dogs like broke little wizards, and where people who bought liquor from me eventually trusted me enough to let me guide them into meditation. And some of those people are still my friends. That's really important to me. It wasn't just a weird chapter I passed through so I could tell a good story later. Some of those relationships actually stayed. Some of those people stayed. And I think that's what I miss. I miss the randomness, the regulars. I miss people coming in and saying something insane like it was normal. I miss the artists. I miss the metal show energy bleeding over from Yucca. I miss being part of a little world that nobody was romanticizing. That's the thing. Nobody romanticizes gas stations. They romanticize cafes, bookstores, churches, record stores, old libraries, little European streets, all that stuff. But a gas station, people mostly look down on it. They stop there because they need something. Then they leave. But if you stay there long enough, you see the whole city pass through. You see who people are when they're tired, who they are when they're hungry, who they are when they're drunk, lonely. You see who they are when they only have a few dollars and still want to buy their kids something sweet as an after-school treat. You see who they are when they're kind, and you see who they are when they're awful. Most of all, you see who you are too. And I think this job changed how I understand dignity. Status is what people project onto you, but dignity is the thing still there when their projection gets really, really ugly. At 28, as a Pakistani guy with tattoo sleeves, working my first real job at a gas station, I learned I could still be myself. I could still be liked, be useful, make people laugh, make friends. I could still matter, even behind a counter. Maybe especially behind a counter. Because behind that counter, I saw people, and I guess they saw me. So yeah, the gas station was a monastery. Like I said, not a peaceful or clean one, not one I'd put on a retreat flyer, but it taught me things. It taught me humility. It taught me that shame is usually something other people hand you and hope that you'll carry. It taught me that broke people are creative beyond belief. It taught me that food is never just food when someone is hungry. It taught me that people can be ridiculous and sacred at the same time. It taught me that the soul doesn't wait for a perfect setting. And sometimes the sacred is standing under fluorescent lights at 2 in the morning, holding food you're technically supposed to throw away, looking at a hungry person outside and thinking, yeah, no, I'm not throwing this away.